What is going on, everyone? Welcome to Devil Dog Preppers Memorial Day 2025 live stream. Welcome in, Jules, Billy, my man Vision Preparedness. What else we got in here? Miss OVP Rita. Half-ass ready, hoorah. Ohio Valley Prepping. Teresa, welcome in. We'll give a few minutes to let people filter in here. Half-ass ready. I will drop the link if you want to come up. Invitation for you. Don't have to. I just we'll talk about Memorial Day and what it means. And I watched your video today, and I was going to talk a little bit about that, but you hit it. So, what's going on, my man?
Hey, brother. You doing good?
I'm doing good. Living in the best country in the world. I got my freedom shirt on.
I see that. Yeah. My wife picked up some Benny wafers, and I can't stop eating them. I'm sorry.
Oh, good.
So we discovered those in Charleston one time, and man, they're freaking awesome. So I'm gonna put them over here though. I can't talk while I'm eating them. So I told Vision the other day, I thought I'd left my tripod in Ohio, but I didn't leave my tripod in Ohio. I just crammed it in my truck because it was so full of crap. I just found it today. Yeah, the other night I had to manufacture a tripod when I was on Visions Live. And
there you go.
I'm just not going to manufacture. Y'all just got to deal with all the wiggling.
Welcome in, Love and Life, Rabid Coyote. Good to see you. Anybody else I may have missed? Let me scroll up. I think I got everybody. Let me throw that back out there. I don't know what happened with. Oh, there he is.
I mashed the button.
You pushed the button.
Yeah, I pushed the button. Don't push the button.
Yes. Welcome in, Blue Butterfly. Good to see you. So we'll get started here. Memorial Day. I agree with what you said on your video today about Memorial Day. I've been around to different stores. I had to go to the lumber store a couple different times today, and of course, everybody's like, "Thank you for your service," and I agree 100%. I used to correct them, but I don't anymore.
Me either.
It's good that they want to say thank you for your service.
Yeah.
But I agree. Memorial Day is not about you, not about me. It's about the men and women who have died in defense of this country, and I let it at that. So But
yeah, that was strictly an educational video. I wasn't trying to offend anyone, and again, I appreciate anyone who appreciates
Oh, 100%. Yes, absolutely.
Not what I was trying to say, but you know, um, I spent 4 years in a nice warm barracks, and occasionally I had to go to the field and get dirty and sweat on my testicles and blah blah blah. But and you and I are Marines, and our rich Marine heritage. When I think about men who died, and I think about the guys at the Chosin, and those men who were minor wounded but froze to death anyway. And then I think about the Marines in Way City, and I think about the Marines at Quezon.
Oh,
I think about the Marines on Guadalcanal. Who the supply ships left them. They basically lived on coconuts for 2 months and had to kill Japs. So, the Memorial Day has a very significant and focused purpose, and it just more American, more people need to stop and thank the fallen. It's just Veterans Day is the day to thank veterans, and you should thank them, buy them dinner, get them a cup of coffee, buy them a beer. Veterans Day is that day. November the 10th is even better day to buy a Marine a beer, but
absolutely.
But again, I really didn't want to offend anyone, and I'm with you.
No, you didn't. And I already was gonna talk about that. Just gonna real quick. I want to tell Mad Shad, have a good night. Thanks for stopping in. JD Prepping Erie, welcome in. Maccabeus, my friend. I hope you are doing well. We are praying for you.
Yeah.
And anybody else that I may have missed, I apologize. I will get to you. But yeah, no. When I corrected, and this is a long time ago, I was respectful with them. Like, it's not about me. It's about those who have passed away and whatnot. So, but and getting ready for tonight's live, I actually looked up some facts about Memorial Day. Because I like to learn stuff, and refresh my memory. But back in 2000, Congress actually passed the, let me see here. Let me find it. And of course, okay. So Congress in 2000 passed the National Moment of Remembrance Act, establishing 3 p.m. on Memorial Day as a time to pause and remember. I never knew that. So.
I feel like I've heard that before, but that is not something I remembered, and it's definitely not something anybody talks about on TV or anything.
Yep. But I've talked to people about they've asked me about Memorial Day. As a matter of fact, I ran into a good friend at a Home Depot today, and he was thanked me for my service, gave me a hug and everything, and we were talking about it, and he asked me what I was doing. I said, "Oh, I'm getting my garden stuff and just doing some stuff around the house and whatnot." Of course, it's always in the back of my head because I was in Iraq a couple different times and lost some friends and whatnot. But when I actually had a person ask me one time if it was disrespectful to have cookouts and stuff like that, and I'm absolutely not. Absolutely not.
No.
Because those men and women would want you, the men and women who died would want you to get with your family, would want you to cook out, would want you to have a beer in their honor and everything. So, that's perfectly acceptable. And I encourage it because that's what they fought for. That's what they died for was for you to live in this country to do as you please, no matter what. So it's a good thing.
100%. That's 100% correct.
And I had a bunch of people over yesterday. And today I just was fiddle farting around in the garden, and I'm moving my 5-gallon bucket garden from my driveway, the end of my driveway, to behind my garage. So I'm rebuilding a lot of stuff and just trying to get everything done. So it's just
Right.
been a long day, and now I get to
Yeah.
actually sit down and take a break and breathe. So
Yeah. It's been a busy weekend for me too. Yeah. I'm with you. I had finally, like I was telling Vision earlier, I finally got my truck unloaded today. Finally. No,
yep.
yesterday. Yesterday I got my truck unloaded. This morning, my mother, my almost 85-year-old mother, she had called me. She knows I go and visit my brother. I have two brothers who are both veterans. Both of them are passed. Um, one of my brothers was cremated, but I have one brother that's buried uh, near me, and I go every year on Memorial Day and visit my brother. He didn't die overseas. It's just the day I've chosen to go visit my brother. But my mother wanted to go visit her father, who fought in World War One. And so I went and picked up my mother this morning, and we had a day and it's always educational. Believe me, folks, y'all should take an old person to the cemetery where their family's buried. You will leave educated on something. Especially my mom, you will find out gossip about everybody in the graveyard. But anyway, I took her out, and then we went to lunch and came back home, and I took a nap. I just I took a nap on
Yeah.
Memorial Day, but I, I used to take out when I was a scoutmaster. I started this after my brother passed in 06. Um, I went to honor my brother and visit my brother's grave, and as I walked, and my brother's buried in a small, not you see it every year. They go to the big cemetery in your town, and they just put flags on all the veterans' graves, and they have and I love it. It's great, but there are a lot of veterans that aren't buried in those cemeteries, right?
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
when I started, we went out. Some Boy Scouts went with me, and we brought along some flags, and I taught them how to look for a veteran's tombstone. And then the questions got, World War II, World War I, Spanish American War. We have Revolutionary War soldiers buried here in my county.
Wow.
Well, North Carolina is one of the 13 original colonies, and my family actually founded this county after the Revolutionary War. They were awarded half of this county because of their service to our country. So,
nice.
yeah, but again, our county is full of these tombstones, and it ended up with these questions. So it became a real cool education tool for me with my young men. And I've continued it. In years past, it's gotten big. At years past, we would go to 15 or 16 small churches. We even have an African American church here that I knew so many of those men who are buried there who fought in Korea and Vietnam. And I took my boys there. We went and I got a chance to educate them on the unfairness that Trent and I were talking about today on his live, about the unfairness that African American soldiers, sailors, and Marines were treated with. But again, it's gotten a lot much smaller now. Today it was me and my mother. Last year it was me and 3 other dudes. But at times it's been 300, 400, 500 flags. Today it was 30. Yeah. But I do try to walk around the cemetery. I have several friends who are buried near my brother who fought in Vietnam and in the Global War on Terror, and I like to visit their graves too while I'm there. But again, they didn't fall in war. It's just my opportunity once a year to. Because on Veterans Day, it's the day after November the 10th, so I'm usually in very not good a shape to go think of it.
I hear you, brother.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, but you know, that's the day for us. But it gives me a chance Memorial Day to pay my respects to some friends and family that deserve my respect. So,
Yep,
you know,
absolutely. Well, I know that you know, I don't know how close there's a VFW or an American Legion near you. You know, if a cemetery, and this goes for anybody in the chat, if there's a cemetery that doesn't get hit up by one of those organizations, let that organization know, and I'm sure that they'll be more than willing to add that to their list of cemeteries to hit for Memorial Day. So we actually have a committee that I was on through the VFW, and we had 4 cemeteries that we did, um, probably 2-3 thousand flags that we did, and it was humbling experience, you know. So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but
It's amazing how many look, folks, especially WW2, WW1, even Korea, and honestly, at this point, Vietnam.
hmm
Those men are leaving us in a hurry,
oh yeah,
and their families have gone on too. Their families have moved on. They've moved out of this town. So all these little churches, there's just tons of graves, and it gives you an opportunity to knock the moss off the veterans' tombstone so people can
hmm
see it. It,
oh yeah,
it you know, they're gone but not forgotten. But you know, these small cemeteries just get really neglected,
oh yeah,
and I often wonder who if someone's family member comes in behind me, say for 4th of July or something, and they see a flag on their loved one's grave. I hope that means something to them that the country hadn't forgot them.
yep,
So you know, it just goes deeper for me, and again, Marines are kind of in charge of flag etiquette. I mean, Marines take things to a new level as far as flag and community and and service goes.
hmm
And so maybe it means more to me than it does some other people. But again, man, it feels good. And look, you don't have to be a member of the VFW to go walk along with them and put out some flags. You
no,
know,
you do not.
you don't have to be a veteran to do that.
Those organizations will not turn down help, you know,
No,
because
no, they won't.
they're always, you know, they're always looking for help. But I just Googled it just to see. There's approximately 66,000 World War II veterans still alive
Wow.
out of
I
out
wouldn't
of
have thought it was that many.
out of 16.4 million that served in the war. There's
Wow.
only 66,000, and that was based on 2022 uh, survey. So I'm
Yeah,
sure it's a lot less.
they're leaving us in a hurry, man.
Yep.
So are the Korean guys. The Korean War's only 5 years behind,
Yep.
right? And honestly, man, most Vietnam vets now are in their 70s. So
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's just and look, we're going to be a long time with you guys on the global war on terror, man, because y'all fought it for a long
Yeah.
freaking time. So, but honestly, man, if you've got a Vietnam vet, Korean War vet, World War II vet in your life, and you have a question, the time is now.
Oh yeah.
It's because they're leaving here in a hurry, and you know, if you get a chance to talk to them, and look, it ain't. Yeah, it's just fascinating to talk to those people, not just about what happened in the war, but the what happened after the war.
Absolutely. Yep.
Especially WW2, man. This country cranked it up a notch, boo. I mean, the man, we went to the global superpower after that war. I mean, in a hurry. And wow, wow, Cody, that's yeah, Wisconsin. Yeah, like I said, man, there's a lot of guys. Uh, Korea was such a strange war, a strange conflict. It kind of gets lost in between Vietnam and WW2, but
Mm-hmm.
Korea was the Cold War becoming a hot war in a hurry, and a real glimpse of what a hot war could be between two nuclear superpowers. And but again, man, those Korean War veterans, especially the Korean War Marines, they have a special place in our hearts.
Well, and for a lot of people don't know, you know, they just know the Korean War. You know, they don't know what these men had to go through and endure. You know, and even me, I mean, I can't speak for the other services because I wasn't in the other services. I was in the Marines, and they drilled it in our head in boot camp. Just drilled it every day. History and knowledge about the Marine Corps and about the Marines that came before us. You know, every building, every chow hall, every building in on a Marine Corps base is named after Medal of Honor winners, after, you know, high profile people and stuff like that, and you learn about them, you know, and so it was fascinating. I went to the Marine Corps Museum in Triangle, Virginia, and this was probably about 2 years after it opened. I went with we had a field trip with because we were at Quantico doing exercises, and we took a day trip to the Marine Corps Museum, and it blew my mind, you know, and it has grown immensely since then. I went again probably maybe 10 years ago. And the amount of growth in that time frame is, and it's gotten even bigger since then. So
I was there last in 2018, and I know 2 years ago now they built an entire new wing to the Global War on Terror. And it opened 2 years ago. They had some stuff in there, but it's open now. And well, you know how you walk through. The Marine Corps Museum there in Triangle, if y'all ever get a chance, go. But it's totally free. But you walk the Marine Corps history from November 2 in Tun Tavern to the Global War on Terror. You walk the Marine Corps history. You even go through a room that lets you know just how cold it was on the Chosin Reservoir.
Yep, absolutely. And that was where I was going to go with this is when I went through that section of the museum, and I just I sat back and I think, you know, could I have done that? You know, it just so we were getting ready to deploy to Iraq, and it was January up in Michigan, and it was like, I don't know, probably 20 degrees below zero with the wind chill, and it was just blowing snow like crazy. And we're trying to get all this equipment that we're going to ship. The trucks were coming to pick the stuff up, and the CO was out there, and nine times out of 10, you know, brass is not going to, if it's cold like that, they're going to stay in the office, but not this guy. This Marine was out there helping along with everything else, and someone was saying that they were cold, and of course, Marines are famous for getting on other Marines for having their hands in their pockets. You don't have your hands in your pockets, you know. Even though Chesty Puller, one of the most recognized Marines in history, always had his hands in his pocket. But anyways, so the CO asked the guy, the Marine, if he was cold. He's like, "Sir, yes, sir," you know. And he's like, "Well, you know, just think about this. It was 30 degrees colder in the Chosin Reservoir, and it blew my mind, you know, that he spit that knowledge out, and I'm like, man, I could not imagine, you know, trying to survive, not only getting shot at, but, you know, surviving the cold and stuff like that. You know, it's,
you know, and again, you know, a Marine's going to do what you tell him to do, and if they told us to freeze our balls off and don't die in a Chosin, we would have tried our best to obey that order. But it's look, man, you know, Chosin, again, that's holy ground to a Marine. But man, you think about being in Tabello Wood and lying in one of those muddy, cold, disease-ridden trenches for 2 months waiting on your chance to walk across a grass field and get destroyed by machine gun fire.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many, and that was another point I was trying to make in my little video today. You know, didn't everybody die of a bayonet wound, a gunshot wound, a blast from a artillery piece? You know, we had a lot of Marines die of dysentery, right? They died because they were sick because of malnutrition or dirty water or you know, trench foot, and these things kill Marines. Now, look, that doesn't take away from the fact that they were willing to do that.
Yep, absolutely.
For freedom, and look, the Marines have always been volunteer service. Okay, so you talk about conscriptions, and look, yes, a lot of men went to war without a choice to join up.
Yeah.
But when you went in the Marine Corps, you were a volunteer, and you know those Marines' graves that are spread all over this planet, those men and women, you know, they signed on to do that, and they did it. And
100%.
They bitched and moaned and complained because that's a Marine's solemn, God-given right to bitch and moan and complain.
Yes.
So, you know, but you know, they did it, and you know, and we owe a debt of gratitude, and we owe 3 o'clock every Memorial Day to say a little prayer for those people.
Absolutely. So yeah, I will just read a couple of facts here about Memorial Day. It initially was known as Decoration Day, a time for decorating the graves of fallen soldiers with flowers and flags. And it became Memorial Day officially a federal holiday back in 1971. So it's the unofficial start of summer.
Yep.
And all my kids are asking me when I'm going to open the pool. And I'm like, well, it's still going to be, you know, several weeks, if not a month before it's going to be warm enough to swim in. But
yep.
So
yeah. Well, I live in the mountains. It's usually like July before you get in any pool around here.
Yep. Let's see here. Let's see. Flags are flown at half staff from sunrise until noon on Memorial Day. Poppies are a symbol of remembrance for on Memorial Day, inspired by World War I poem in Flanders Field.
Yep, that's right.
So
another Marine legend.
Yep, just a little bit of knowledge. Waterloo, New York, is in some historical accounts suggest that Waterloo, New York, was the birthplace of Memorial Day, as the town closed all businesses and residents decorated the graves of the soldiers.
Well,
so just wanted to pass on a little bit of knowledge, and then I got a couple of videos that I want to play. I hope that I don't get strikes for it, but it'll be what it will be. So,
yes, sir.
I'm going to take us off and share this. Oops. There you go.
Some time back, I received in the name of our country the bodies of 4 Marines who had died while on active duty. I said then that there is a special sadness that accompanies the death of servicemen, for we're never quite good enough to them. Not really, we can't be, because what they gave us is beyond our powers to repay. And so when a serviceman dies, it's a tear in the fabric, a break in the whole, and all we can do is remember. It is, in a way, an odd thing to honor those who died in defense of our country, in defense of us, in wars far away. The imagination plays a trick. We see these soldiers in our mind as old and wise. We see them as something like the founding fathers, grave and gray-haired. But most of them were boys when they died, and they gave up two lives, the one they were living and the one they would have lived. When they died, they gave up their chance to be husbands and fathers and grandfathers. They gave up their chance to be revered old men. They gave up everything for our country, for us. We owe them a debt we can never repay. All we can do is remember them and what they did and why they had to be brave for us.
And stop that. Bring us back there. Yeah, I saw that video, and it really hits home, you know. So, but
Yeah.
were you able to hear it? All right.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, that they call Ronald Reagan the great orator for a reason, and
Yep.
and I went to the Vietnam Memorial. I I got a handwritten invitation from Ronald and Nancy Reagan to go to his second inaugural ball in D.C. I was president of the Teenage Republicans here in Western North Carolina. I was in high school, and when we got there, our congressman, they had just opened the Vietnam Memorial in 1982, and we went there, and yeah, it's heavy. It was solemn. It was so different than the last time I went. The first time I went, when you go down, you walk down a ramp in front of the black marble and 58,000 homes. And when you go down the ramp, it kind of blocks out the noise of the city.
Yep.
And yeah, it was intense. So I went back in 2016 or 2017. My son was stationed there in DC. And I went back, and I was actually blown away by the level of disrespect that, I mean, there were kids playing frisbee and people having picnics, and it was way different than the first time I saw it.
Yeah.
And then we went over to the Lincoln Memorial, and they actually have signs up inside the Lincoln Memorial that say, "This is a reverent place. Please be silent."
Yeah.
And it was a friggin' party going on in there too. I realize with the group that we talk to all the time, we're preaching to the choir. These folks that tune in to what we say probably feel a lot like we feel, but there's such a level of disrespect for our servicemen and our country and our flag, and the symbols of our nation. I realize nobody's alive who ever met Abraham Lincoln, but he's a symbol of our nation. And they deserve respect and reverence. And
absolutely.
Yeah, I didn't mean to get off on that little bitch fest, because
you're good. You're good.
That really pissed me off, dude. I'm gonna tell you, My wife will tell you, I walked out of the Lincoln Memorial and I was pissed off. I mean, pissed off. Ridiculous. Again, as a veteran, you as a veteran, look, it's a lot different than when our boys came back from Vietnam. We do. I'm old enough to remember though, up until the probably Grenada and Panama Operation Just Cause, soldiers, sailors, and airmen and Marines didn't get the respect we were. And it seemed to change after that, especially Desert Storm and Desert Shield, when people were tying yellow ribbons on trees and people go out of their way to thank you and offer some respect. I had meals bought for me and things like that. The Vietnam guys coming home didn't necessarily get that treatment, and
no, they didn't.
And it changed the way. That's when the disrespect for our symbols of our nation started, and it's just gone downhill from there.
Yeah, I mean, I look at just simple things like 9/11 and how patriotic everybody was after 9/11. Yeah. You drive around neighborhoods now, like I did today, as a matter of fact, and to see the amount of people that have flags on their house or in their yard. 9/11 seemed like everybody got a flag and everybody put a flag up. I drove in my neighborhood and there was, I think, 5 houses and there's probably over 60 houses in my neighborhood. Five flags,
Wow.
Everybody will decorate for Christmas and Halloween and all that kind of stuff, but they I don't know. And I'm gonna go on a tangent there if I don't stop there. It pisses me off as well. The fact that people in our town, they always have a Halloween parade, and everybody and the masses come out for this thing.
Sure.
I mean, the whole entire parade route will be lined with people. Some places double rows, triple rows, whatever. Everybody is coming in from out of town for this. And then there was a video today that my friend posted about the Memorial Day parade, and it instantly got pissed. I'm like, nobody was out in their yard, and I'm like, okay, what gives? But I don't know. That's just me. I think a lot of people, and I'm not saying the people in the chat, but a lot of people take it for granted, that they live and they don't understand where all the freedoms came from and how quickly they can go away. If it wasn't for the men and women who have fought for this freedom that we so dearly love and exercise every single day when we wake up and until we go to bed, we live in the greatest country in the world.
Most definitely. Yeah, and again, the guys standing the wall right now, it's less than 1% of the population of this country is standing the wall right now. And look, I'm not asking you to stand the wall, but shit the bed, man. Can't you be a little grateful or excited about those guys that are standing on the wall? Give them a little support.
Oh yeah. So out in my yard, because I'm waiting to put my flagpole up. I don't have a flagpole, but I got a lot of flags out in my yard. But I mowed the yard today, and I tried to get my line straight and everything. I like a nice looking yard, right?
Of course
and so I used my line, and I'm out there putting my heel to toe, and I would put my heel against the first flag, and I put the flag on my heel, and then I would move around, put my heel, and so I have 14 flags out in my yard with lights put on. I got solar lights because you got to have lights on the flag.
That's right.
So, and then I have a metal decorative yard piece that I have up in my landscaping normally, but I put that out in front. It's the fallen warrior symbol with the boots with the rifle and everything on it.
Yeah.
And I got that out in front. Again, I have a light on it. So, but so yeah.
It rained here all day. I couldn't put my flag out, so
Yeah.
Is what it is.
Yep. So
I live at the end of a long dirt driveway, so and nobody would drive by to see my flag anyway. But I fly. I have a U.S. flag and of course the Marine Corps flag hanging from my front porch every day.
Yep. There you go. Well, I bought a or not. I didn't buy it. I had a light pole from the light company or the electric company for the lights, street lights, whatever, at my job that I don't have anymore, and I never got it out of there. So I got to figure out if I can still get someone to get it for me or what. But anyways, it's 30 foot tall.
Oh, you're gonna have help.
I wanted to mount that in my front yard and have a 30-foot flagpole out there. So my dream's not dead yet, even though I don't work there anymore. I will try to get maybe one of the guys that work there still that I'm still friends with and still talk to. Maybe they could we could arrange something. So
a good flagpole is not cheap.
No, it's not.
And but we had they call it the Garden Jubilee on Main Street here in Hendersonville every Memorial Day weekend. It ends on Sunday. They don't do it on Memorial Day, but they close off Main Street and everybody brings out. So my wife and I went up. My wife, my son, and his girlfriend, we all went up Saturday morning early for a little while and bought some plants and things. But there's a guy there that sells those flagpoles that you don't need a string. They raise up and down.
The telescopic pole.
That's what. Yeah, I couldn't think of the word. Yeah. And oh man, those things are. But that's cool. I'd like to have one. But I'd like to have two because can't fly the American flag without the Marine Corps flag flying beside it. It's just.
That's right. I'm gonna try to find. There's a guy that I got in contact with, and he has a business. That's what he does. And I'm trying to see what it is called. I can't remember. Flags for Vets. So he's down south. I believe he's in Mississippi, Louisiana, somewhere around there, maybe Alabama. But he has a list a mile long of veterans, and he puts flagpoles that he gets through his trying to think of the company flagpole flagpole.com. So it's like I think it costs like $300 to get everything that is needed, and he goes out there and does everything for free for that veteran and puts a flagpole up in that veteran's yard for him. But now that I got all this free time, I emailed him to see about opening a chapter here in Ohio and go that route. So we'll see. So I know with thanks, Teresa. That's awesome. But I know that I'm gonna do something with my woodworking. Being that I was in the Marines and combat veteran at that, I want to take a percentage of my profits and set that aside to do something for veterans. Whether it's maybe to start helping raise money for the chapter here in Ohio for flagpoles. I don't know, but I'm going to do something. So
yeah, that's cool.
it's
That's
something I've always wanted to do. I've always told my wife that if I ever won the lottery, that I would buy a. I mean, there's vacant buildings all over the place throughout the country, and we have actually there was a hotel that had closed down. And I'm like, man, it would be great to win the lottery and buy that hotel and turn it into a veterans place for either homeless veterans or veterans that need help, and get a staff um, to help veterans. Because you know, not every veteran goes to the VA. I don't go to the VA because I have such a bad taste in my mouth from my experience with it. And so, if I could help, and I've always wanted to do something in order to help veterans. So, but, so now that I'm doing this woodworking, I have an opportunity to put a little bit aside. And start doing it. It's gonna be slow going, but uh, little by little, I hope that I'll be able to do it. So
vets are a hard bunch to help. They're a proud bunch,
yeah,
and they're a hard bunch to help. They don't like to ask for help, but they need help, man. And there's and I guess for me, man, our Cold War era soldiers didn't bring home as much baggage as other guys did. But I've watched some of my friends Somalia and Global War on Terror, and I watched them struggle mightily mentally.
yeah,
We have an organization in town that has a farm, and they invite these veterans struggling with PTSD out, and these men and women find salvation in the work of the farm.
yep,
And then the sheepdogs here in town, another organization, and they make sure that I've seen so many veterans with PTSD who've been helped by a dog, um, and they do that. They
yep,
find and they put vets with dogs, and but my son's he has struggles with PTSD, and I watched that dog save his life, and um, it yeah. Uh, look,
I'll be honest. I struggle with that too. My anger sometimes gets the best of me. I've never laid my hands on anybody, but I get to a point where you know I get angry or whatever, and even though I don't have a dog that's trained, so I had
you have to be a trained dog.
as a matter of fact, that's a little truck sitting on my mantle above my fireplace, and in the back of that truck, you can't see it, is the remains, the ashes of my dog that passed away, and he would let me know when I hit that point.
Yeah.
She would jump up and she'd just start licking my face. How can I be mad if I have? And it was a Pomeranian of all types of dogs. It was a Pomeranian, and
Amen.
she would lick my face and let me know, hey, Dad, you need to calm down. And I would, or she would run and hide, and then I would know that I got too loud, and then I would calm down and whatnot. So, but now I rescued two dogs after she passed away. I never wanted another dog in my life because it
Right.
just it freaking a big bad Marine crying like a baby over a 10-pound dog, and my daughter's like, Mom, we need to get Dad a dog, and I'm
Yep.
like, I don't want to do it. So we went and looked my wife's like, well, let's just go look at this dog, and we don't have to get it. Well, little did I know, she already took the money out of the bank to pay the lady, because it was a foster home for the dogs, to pay for the adoption fee.
Right.
So we walked out of there not with one dog but two dogs, because it was a package deal. They weren't siblings. It was two different breeds of dogs, and so now we have two rescue dogs that, well, I always say they rescued me. I didn't rescue them. So my my brown dog is my good buddy, and she just lets me know when I just need to breathe, and
Yeah.
so yep.
I call mine my boon companion. I yeah. Yeah, I have two urns of ashes
Yeah.
near me, but the third dog, the pit. I'm a pit bull,
Yeah.
and I was not prepared for it, and man, the minute I met her, love's love, dude.
Yep.
And nobody loves you. It's the old joke, where if you went out in the yard and opened the trunk of your car and crammed your wife and your dog in the trunk and shut it and left it closed for 4 hours, come back, see which one will be glad to see you.
Yeah.
I promise you, your dog will be wagging his tail. Your wife won't,
No.
but your dog will be wagging his tail. So,
Yep.
there's just nothing like that unconditional love, and the communication. It's hard. It's hard for a serviceman person to communicate soft feelings, love,
Yep.
and now I'm not saying we don't have those feelings. It's hard to communicate those feelings. You don't have to worry about that communication with your dog. It's completely unconditional love on both directions.
Yep.
You love your dog loves you. There's no words need to be said, just a belly rub here and there.
Yep.
And
Absolutely. I was just gonna say, you don't even have to say nothing. They know, and obviously they can't talk, so so
it's very therapeutic for especially if you're suffering from PTSD. And look, life will give you PTSD. You don't have to be a Marine to have PTSD. Life will give you PTSD. Look, I'm telling you, man, after Helene came through here, I know people who have PTSD now.
well, even during, like, you had open heart surgery. I had brain surgery. I've never really experienced anxiety in my life, and even all the stuff that I've gone through with being in the Marine Corps, and the stuff that happened over in Iraq and stuff. I mean, that a different situation, but going through this brain surgery, I've never been claustrophobic. I've never, whatever, and I have this brain surgery, and I can't get into an MRI machine, and so they got to pretty much drug me up in order to get me in there. But talking with the doctor, and he even said it. I mean, he's like, you have PTSD from the brain surgery. And I'm like, well, because I'll just be sitting at the dinner table, and then for no reason, there's no triggers, I just start getting sweaty, and my heart starts pumping bad, and I start, like, my fingertips will start getting cold and numb, and it's just like, what the hell's going on, And there for the longest time, I was on medication for it and stuff like that. So it's slowly going away. But that's one of the reasons why I got into woodworking in the first place, because it takes my mind off of whatever the hell's going on in life, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. It doesn't matter. I could be having the best day, and the anxiety will hit me, for whatever reason. Give you another example. We were going to church and got all dressed and ready to go, got in the car, and for some reason that day, the pair of shoes that I was wearing caused me to have a panic attack.
Yeah.
Like anxiety and everything. I'm like, I get halfway to church and I'm like, I can't do it. So I turn the car around, I come back and I changed my shoes. I took my medicine to help me calm down. And about halfway through the church service, I was fine. You know, just a pair of shoes that I've worn a million times, so they're, it just, it's crazy. Hey, welcome in, Mike. Good to see you, buddy.
Hey,
But
Mike.
yeah, so that's one of the reasons why I got into woodworking. One, because my doctor said I need to start utilizing and challenging my brain to help recover from it. But I've always wanted to do it, and I'm glad I did. I enjoy going out to the garage, and it's stressful, but a stress release at the same time.
Yeah. I do woodworking too. I swear I love it. It's absolutely, I love it. Again, it's right side, left side brain working at the same time. It's pretty cool. But when we were soldiers and Marines and airmen and sailors, we were, maybe we're only holding an M16, but we were in control of our fight.
Yep.
Now, when I had open heart surgery, when I was laying there, especially in the pre-op, and man, I had, we're absolutely putting our lives in the hands of a man we don't know.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the brain surgery was the same way. And it is a unique care. Yeah. And I'll be first one to admit, I was very anxious. I was terrified, and it was kind of a unusual feeling for me. I don't know if I've ever been terrified in my life. And
I agree. And we had this conversation at Visions Bug Out Weekend. I'll admit I was so anxious and so upset about this, even though I knew I needed to have the surgery. Yeah. And they give me my first round of medication to calm me down, and it still wasn't enough. And I was getting ready to go back, and it just I was crying like a baby. I was that, and I told him I'd rather go and fight 5 tours in Iraq than deal with this. And you hit it on the nail, because it's not something that we're in control of. Even though we don't know the uncertainty of what's going to happen, at least we have some control when we're in the service, and we're, whether you're in combat or whatever,
right.
So
it's in your hands, that point. Yeah,
it's something that we're not used to, especially being big Marines.
There you go.
Of being in that situation. So
no, it was terrifying, and I'm with you. I again, and knowing if I don't have the surgery, I'm gonna die.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna die. My heart, I have my main arteries blocked over 95%. You're not living through that. You're not coming back from, so you put your hands in the hands of, I find out later, one of the most brilliant heart surgeons in the United States. I had no idea. Didn't realize he actually wrote books for heart surgeons.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know this man from Adams House Cat, and I'm going to let him actually kill me and bring me back to life. But again, terror. Again, the PTSD thing is real, and the struggle is real, and again, if look, I have a brother-in-law who's an electrician, and never served in his life, been an electrician for 30 years. Arc flashed himself about 12 years ago and burned his ear off. man, it was bad. It was real bad. And
I know how that could be. I worked at a power plant.
Yeah, he and he's back. He's back. He's back working as an electrician. Of course, the poor fellow. I mean, he's eat up with PTSD. It's again, PTSD can strike you in your life at any moment, and there's just not enough resources out there for folks who have it. There are resources available, but there's not enough resources out there.
I agree.
And a lot of people struggling with it don't even know they have it. You know, they don't even realize they have PTSD. I guess using the hurricane here as a perfect example of that, man.
Yep.
I have neighbors. Look, I have neighbors now that every time the wind blows, they freak the hell out because they're just waiting on that tree to blow over on their house now.
Yeah.
Every time the wind blows, man, they want to cut every tree down in Western North Carolina but they got PTSD. They don't even realize it. They realize that they have a sickness, you know.
Well, with the military, you know, I'm sure it's with other people too. You know, they're not one to sit down and have a conversation with a stranger. You know, and as far as talking about their feelings and all that kind of stuff, you know. So,
yeah, I used to be like that. I don't really have that problem anymore.
Yeah.
I don't have that filter anymore. I again, dude, you just, man, you leave anything unsaid, it's on you.
Yep.
Yeah, don't live your life without saying things that you need to say.
Oh yeah. I mean, I had a awakening moment in my life. I struggled with it for a long time. I had a Marine die in my arms in Iraq, and I struggled with it. I never talked about it, you know, and it just ate at me for the longest time until I talked to the widow of the Marine, you know, and we had a conversation, and we talked about it. And so that's what did it for me, to be able to move on and get over that hump of that situation. So, but with that being said, I want to go ahead and I have a little thing here for 4 Marines that I lost here, and being Memorial Day, to give the couple minutes here to show.
Yeah.
So this is Staff Sergeant Reese, and Staff Sergeant Reese died as a result of enemy action in Ann Arbor Province, Iraq. He was assigned to 6th Engineer Support Battalion, 4th Force Service Group, Marine Corps Reserve, Portland, Oregon. Died November 8, 2004. Then he left behind his wife and 2 kids. This is Corporal Palmer. Corporal Palmer died as a result of non-hostile vehicle incident in the same area. Same 6th Engineer Support Battalion, Force Service Support Company or Group, Marine Force Reserve, Portland, Oregon. He died same day. Then you have Lance Corporal Lamb, who died as a result of non-hostile vehicle accident in the same Ann Arbor Providence. Signed to 6th Communication Battalion, Force Service Support Group, Marine Corps Reserve, Brooklyn, New York. He died November 8, 2004. And last but not least, Marine Corps Lance Corporal Zapp, who died on November 8th, enemy action in Ann Arbor, Providence, Iraq. So those are my 4 Marines that passed away. And to give a little background, so Staff Sergeant Reese and Lance Corporal Zapp died due to IED explosion and I was 4 vehicles back from them, and it was a hell of a blast. I mean, it knocked us out of the truck, everything. So, but Lance Corporal Lamb and Corporal Palmer died. They drowned in Iraq due to the bank of the Saddam Canal gave away, and the dozer, the D8 dozer that Lance Corporal Lamb was operating, sank down into the water, and the water started filling up into the dozer. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. Water's filling in. He freaked out a little bit and jumped out of the dozer and ended up getting stuck in the mud when he jumped in. And so Corporal Palmer took off all of his battle gear and put his rifle and his thump gun up on top of the dozer tracks and jumped in after him. We don't know exactly what happened, but they think what happened is when he jumped in, he hit his head on the dozer blade, which then knocked him out, and then he ended up drowning as well. So, but crazy times. But and it all happened. So those 2 Marines died at 2 o'clock that morning, and then we had our mission in Fallujah, and later on that evening, the other 2 Marines were killed. So
Yeah.
those are my 4 Marines that I have flags out in my yard for, along with others in their memory. And as you can see on the bottom of my screen, their names are scrolling in. So,
Well, Corporal Lord Craddock is my Marine story, and Corporal Craddock fought in Somalia, and he took his fire team out. They told him that morning to go have a show of force, and didn't give them any magazines. They left without any ammunition just to give a show of force, and his whole fire team got shot out from under him. 80 insurgents attacked him in the street, and Corporal Craddock was the only one who lived. And Ori was my friend, and he and I had many long conversations. He had PTSD pretty bad. Always blamed himself. And we would talk, and he would drink. We would cry, and we would talk, and he would drink, and we would cry. And my wife come to me after I hung up the phone, and she say, "Is Ori going to be okay?" And I said, "No, Ori's not going to be okay." And I told her many times that I would hear the pop of the gun one day when we were talking on the phone. And he called me 3 years ago, and he said, "I just want to tell you I love you." And he hung up the phone. And 20 minutes later, his girlfriend called me and said, "Muffin, he shot himself in the head right here in the house." And it's real. It's we lose 10 service members a day to suicide, and we all have demons. Corporal Craddock's demon was 27 feet high. My demons are 3 feet high. I can kick them out of the house, right? And but the struggle's real. You have a veteran in your life who's struggling with PTSD, you may not be equipped to help them.
yeah,
You need to be there, especially as veterans. It seems to be easier to talk to a veteran for a veteran. But we need to be there for those men, and you need to keep those memories alive as long as you can.
absolutely.
But we all carry burdens, and we all have a story. But today's again, service relation killed Ori too. I just, he brought that home and carried that burden, and it killed him. But, we still have men in this country who are dying from service related stuff. And be it Agent Orange, be it the chemical fires in Iraq, be it PTSD, we still have service members who are dying service related deaths. And remember them. That's all. That's what today's about. Remember
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's what I try to reflect on days like today, and it's not even just today, because this is the federal holiday that was established for everybody to do this, but I try reflecting on
I'm sure you do.
When you lose. And Holly, you absolutely are 100% right. War is terrible, and that's one of the reasons, that I reflect a lot of times on, what they did. They lost their lives, and in my saying that I say a lot, I tend to repeat myself, but they gave of their tomorrows so we can live our todays. So, and like the first video, I'm not gonna play the second video because it's not gory. It has guns in it, and I don't want to get a strike, so I'm not gonna play it. But it would hit home with the whole Memorial Day, but because there's a little section in there of fighting, in battle, I'm not gonna do it. But there's all kinds of videos out there for that. So, but yeah, if everybody just takes a minute of their day on Memorial Day, and I hope that everybody is out grilling and getting with family and getting their pools open and going swimming and whatever, going to parades and whatnot. I wanted to do today as kind of has nothing to do with preparedness, because today is Memorial Day, and so we remember those that have fought and died for this country, and so next Monday we'll get back to talking preparedness, but today is for them. Katrinka, welcome in. She just got the notification. Well, I'm glad you stopped in. So, but yeah, the sun's going down, and I hope that everybody had a good day. Sorry, chat. I kind of ignored you a little bit today, but I've been reading your comments. Did anybody have a cookout today? It was beautiful weather. You said you had rain.
Yeah, it wasn't so pretty down here.
Yeah, it was sunny and let's see, what is it now? It's 62 here now, but I got the grass mowed and got my flags put out, and did some weeding around the pool. I started using this. I don't like using chemicals, so I saw this concoction. You can use vinegar, salt. So you use 1 gallon of vinegar, 1 cup of table salt, and a tablespoon of dish soap, and you mix it together and spray it. It doesn't harm pets or anything like that. It'll kill anything that it touches. So you got to be careful where you spray it. But I sprayed around all my my fence and everything around the pool, So, and it being sunny today, it really helps quicken the death of the weeds. So I'll wait a couple days, and then I'll go around and burn them around the fence and everything like that, because it's a chain link fence, and it'll be all right. So
yeah.
Rabbit
Yeah,
said, go ahead.
that dish liquid, what makes it stick to whatever you spray it to.
Yep.
Not
Quit
the dish
raining
soap.
Quit raining long enough for me to test out the fitment of my truck tent. Then more damn rain. Yep. Welcome in, Metal Spawn.
He posted some videos about that tent, truck tent. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I have. I got to catch up on my channels that I watch. I've just been so busy. We got our farmers market starts tomorrow, so I've been putting a lot of time into doing my cutting boards, and I got a lot of time and money invested in these things. And I when I started this whole woodworking, I didn't know exactly that it was going to be this time consuming. It ain't like with these cutting boards you can just slap pieces of wood together and whatever. You gotta you know and so because I use some of the exotic woods, but they're all hardwoods. I
Right.
go to my wood shop that I did a class at, and I use their equipment on that stuff because they have commercial grade table saws and planers and joiners and everything. So, and I can go there and use their shop for free. I just gotta supply the wood and stuff. So it's been and you glue everything. You got to get everything cut and change out blades, and of course there's other people in the shop working. So if you leave the table saw and they might go use it, the fence and everything gets moved, the blade gets changed, whatever. So it's very time consuming, and but that's what it's all about. So
Yeah, it's a study in patience.
yep. But I enjoy it, and I got 6 boards made, and it's fun. It's fun putting this stuff together, with these different colors of woods and stuff like that. And now that I got those 6 done, and they're your typical cutting boards, and the stripes are all going the same way. Now that I got them out of the way, um, I'm gonna start monkeying around with different designs and stuff. So
Yeah.
and the guy that owns the shop that I go to, he's been a big help, and he's like, "Al, we'll try when you're ready to start doing some other ones. Then let me know, and we'll work it out." So there's actually a program out there that I can insert the woods that I'm putting in there, and it'll tell you step by step, the thickness of this wood, the thickness of that wood, and then how to make the designs, and it gives you advanced, like you can see what it's going to look like. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
So
technology is pretty amazing. Yeah, it sure beats the hell out of when I took shop back in 1979. Yeah, we had a really, but yeah, I took shop in junior high school, and the we built a replica of the one room cabin that our school was named after. Rugby Junior High was the name of the school, but so we built a replica of the one room cabin. My shop class did, and I mean, dude, my shop teacher Don Henderson, super duper guy. We actually went out and pulled rocks up out of the woods and made the piers, laid the piers out of rock, milled the timber off the school grounds,
yeah,
uh, cut the shakes, the shingles for the roof. We did all that. Took us 2 years. My last 2 years of junior high, 8th grade, 9th grade year, we worked on that cabin. And dude, it's been, and I'd never worked in wood before. My father
yeah,
was a farmer, and it just gave me a lifelong appreciation and yearning to be in the wood shop. Lifelong. Still, I would rather be in my wood shop tearing those old pallets down and doing the stuff I do than about damn near anything. Of course, I don't make any money.
yeah. I get it. I enjoy I enjoy being out in the wood shop as well. And I was gonna actually start when I started it. There's a person, a husband and wife. They do all the stuff like tearing apart the pallets, and they cut them. They're all 48 inches long, and they sell it by the balk, you know. And
Wow.
well, I thought about doing that, but then I got into doing some other things, and I never went back to that. So
Yeah, I like the stuff you do. I really do. It's you know, but the pallet wood, it's so, I don't know, misunderstood. It's just so different. They use the crappiest stuff they can use as far as commercial grade
hmm
stuff that they can for pallets, because they're just going to burn them after they're done.
yeah,
But the wood has so much character. It's just so beautiful once you get the
yep,
grime sanded off of it and run it through your joiner and your planer
yeah,
and put the line together. It just and you know, there's all kind of different wood. You find red oak and hickory and yellow pine and white pine, and then you start mixing it together to it's a puzzle every time I put one of those signs together. I do enjoy it, but
as a matter of fact, I have one of your signs.
yeah,
Yeah,
you won one.
no, I didn't.
No, you stole one from Vision.
I was gifted. I was gifted one. So Jules and Gordon, they won the bacon one,
Yeah.
and so they wrote a little message on it from when I was preparing the dinner.
Ah,
And for
well,
those
that's
that weren't
cool.
there, they won't know what happened, and we'll leave it at that. But they wrote a little saying on it, and they hung it on my canopy when I wasn't looking. And so when I was going to put everything away and tear down, I saw it, and I'm like, what the heck? So I thought that was pretty
Yeah.
cool.
That makes me very happy to know that you have one of my signs.
Yep.
Makes me very happy. So
So what
yeah.
I'm gonna mount it in my wood shop. So one of these days when I do a video out there, then I'll show you. So
Yeah. Cool. 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 Yeah, I keep a few up behind me when I'm doing my videos in my shop. But yeah, that's awesome, man. That's
yep,
great.
absolutely.
So, but yeah, I hope you really enjoy it. I enjoy making them. So, yeah, I have a stencil machine. I when I first started, I cut out my own stencils by hand, and it took forever. And I
Yeah,
bought a stencil making machine, and I make these stencils, and then I hand paint the symbol,
yep.
the signs myself. Uh, but yeah, that's the time consuming thing. Once I have the vision in my head of what I want to do,
Oh yeah.
then you know the work starts when I have to use the stencil machine, because that just, of course, that thing is badass. Phew, man,
Oh yeah.
uh, man, we love it. My wife and I both use it a lot.
So
But
I bought some of this paste, and there's a pen that I bought a kit, and so because I do stencil stuff as well,
uh,
and um so you take this paste and you can brush it on over the stencil, and it's like a clear paste, basically what it is. And then once you're done, you can dab it with like a sponge or whatever, so it doesn't bleed under the
yeah,
stencil. And or you can use the pen and you can just trace whatever, or you can write on it or draw whatever. And then you take the stencil off, and you take a heat gun and you heat it up, and it burns the wood. Whatever the
oh,
product
cool.
of that gel is, it burns into the wood.
Well, that's cool, man.
Yeah. So once I get caught up with my orders that I have right now, plus with the craft shows and everything starting and
Yeah,
whatever, I'll dabble in that a little bit and see how that works out. But
yeah, yeah. I've been thinking about buying one of those laser engraver things, but I
yeah,
don't know, a little impersonal, I think.
yeah. Well, so the wood shop that I go to, they have. I mean, they got the CNC machines, they got the laser engraver and stuff like that. So, um, what I'm doing, like with my flags,
Yeah.
So if somebody orders a flag and they want it personalized, like, so I'm doing it for my brother, and he's not on here, so I can tell you. He retired from the Air Force, and on the bottom of the flag on the last stripe, I'm gonna put his rank and his name and his years of service on it. So, and the laser engraver will do that for me. Or I can use the CNC machine as well and do that as well. So,
Right. Yeah, those things can get detail that you and I can't get. That's for
oh
sure.
yeah, yep, absolutely. I've seen some pretty cool work being done in there. So,
Yeah, I had
there's-
a guy down here make a box for my nephew just retired from the Air Force, and
yeah,
I had a guy down here make a box to put his service ribbons and stuff in,
yep.
and he lazy etched it, name, rank, serial number. It turned out absolutely gorgeous, and he loved it. And
Well, I during this wood shop class that I did, it was 6 weeks long, 4 hours a class, so 24 hours total. We actually built a chest, a box for, and they're all, everybody in the class was military, so they're military boxes like shadow boxes or whatever. So I actually have the plans for it, and so once I get caught up, like I said, with everything that I'm doing right now, that's my next project is to make, and we did the larger ones, but I'm going to do the smaller ones for my shows and stuff like that that I have. And then obviously if you want it engraved or if you want it special, you know, whatever, then that'll be different, but I'm going to build some shadow boxes as well. So
yeah, I'm working on a plan to build. My son and I trade patches and challenge coins.
yep.
We have hundreds of them, and I'm working on some kind of display case to display at least our challenge coins.
Hmm.
Uh, and I've seen some pretty cool examples of how to do it. So
Yeah.
I just got to figure out how to make one out of an old pallet.
Yeah. Nice.
So yeah, that's kind of my next branch out from what I do. You know, I like those signs. I got. In fact, I'll show you here. This is that's the first sign I ever made.
Oh, nice.
Well, I made that that was the name of my father's business, and
Okay.
and you know, I'd seen that old ammo crate, and I wanted to buy the crate. The guy wouldn't sell the crate, and I said, you know that, but he had written on the top of the crate the price of the tobacco stakes in his crate, and I thought, "You know, that does make a really cool sign." So I just wanted to make the top of the crate, and that's the very first one I ever made. And of course, I ended up making. I have I have 7 siblings, so I ended up making quite a few exactly like it for my siblings for Christmas one year, and but yeah, that's just how it all got started. And then, man, I don't know, it was so therapeutic that I just kept doing it.
There you go.
And then, you know, and I've had some, you know, people request things on their signs, and
Yeah.
I've made, you know, some custom stuff for especially shops. You know, I sell car parts, and some of my customers want one for the shop.
Yeah.
So you know, I've made, you know, lots of my, again, I haven't paid for my saw blades and my sandpaper, uh, stain and paint. I haven't paid for that with what I've sold, but you know, again, I don't care if I'm making any money or not. It's just,
Yep.
again, it's therapeutic.
Yeah. 100% therapeutic. Yeah. I totally get it. So I I got a lot of money invested in this exotic wood. I mean, I didn't know it was going to be that expensive, you know, but some of that
Yeah.
stuff can be uh, really expensive, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, it's hard to source sometimes too. You know, I mean, we got a couple of places too that you can source it at,
Mhm.
but again, and it's one of those deals where they're open from 9 to 5 Monday through Friday. So if I was to source it, I'd have to take a day off from work to go get it. And
Yeah.
it's tough, but
well, I drove. Well, the drive was only supposed to be 54. It's 54 miles from my house. It took me 3 hours because of traffic and construction, and I didn't heed Google Maps telling me to take a detour. And I'm like, oh, it won't be that bad. Yeah.
yeah.
So, anyways, I get up there and they didn't have. I found it on Facebook Marketplace, so I thought, I'll get this, that, and whatever. I get up there and he didn't have this, and that, I'm like, so I was kind of PO'd about it. He's like, well, when I get it in, there's no telling how long it's going to stay, so, but.
Yeah, I dig that too, but again.
Well, I have a place here that always has the stuff that I need. I just thought I was getting a better deal going up there, but and I am on some of the stuff. The other stuff maybe not so much, but I'm already up there, so I grabbed it anyway. So
yeah. Well, well, I'll tell you what, Devil Dog, I am going to step off and let you catch up with your chat and talk with some of these folks. But I appreciate you having me on, and happy Memorial Day. And
same to you, brother.
And
hey, why I got you on here, I didn't grab your contact information. So if you would send me an email, my email is on my channel page. That way I have your contact information.
I will do that. I will do that before I lay my pretty head down to sleep.
There you go, brother.
All right. Semper Fi, brother.
Hoorah. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Now to the chat. So what did everybody do today? Did anybody do a cookout, go to a parade or anything? Vet Prep says, I like way Tiger Eye Wood looks. Okay. I don't know if I've seen the Tiger Eye Wood. I bought some red zebra, some black limba, and some cheetah wood, which was crazy because I've never seen or heard of any of these woods before I started doing this. And they got some pretty cool wood out there. Steel Tree says polyurethane, lacquer, shellac, sandpaper, and everything else can get damn expensive. Yes, absolutely. Well, I went and bought a stain sprayer. The guy that I've been kind of learning from, just by asking him what he uses and stuff like that, and it wasn't that expensive, but I absolutely love my stain sprayer. So Rabbit says bird's eye maple makes beautiful guitars. There you go. Oh, and Teresa, to get with you, the link that you dropped for Vets for Flags was correct. Or Flags for Vets. That was the right one. So now you can see the chat. There you go. Oops. Holly says, my oldest son is a fireman and drove the big fire truck in the parade today. He loves our military. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, they it's hit or miss with the one parade that they had today. Some years they have them, some years they don't. So I unfortunately did not go today. I didn't think they were going to have it, and so. Well, that's good that that he was a part of a parade today. I'm actually going to talk to them to see if I can help maybe get it going next year and see where that goes. But in the meantime, I'll just concentrate on doing my woodworking, and I have to contact the local college to see what I need to do in order to start classes. So, well, Holly, even though he can't be in the military because of his medical issues, he can still help out by supporting them and doing that kind of stuff. So, and he's a fireman, so he's doing his good deed there. So, a lot of people could do the military but couldn't do the firefighting. So, no big deal there. It's good that he's a fireman. So, but yeah, I we had the cookout yesterday. Did some chicken and some burgers and brats and stuff. So KP says the World War II Museum had a lot going on today in New Orleans. Awesome. Rabbit said he couldn't join because he's deaf, but he's an Army dad. So there you go. No shame in that game. Being a father of someone in the military, that's awesome. That's a hard job as well. You know, you got to worry about what's going on with your kid that's in the military. So, but I do apologize with not being active in the chat while we were talking. I hope that you guys enjoyed this live tonight. I hope that you guys take a minute out of your day to remember those men and women that have paid the ultimate sacrifice. And oh, that's awesome. He went back to under active duty now. Okay, sweet. Active reserve duty. Okay, there you go. But I've kept you guys long enough tonight. I will let you go so you can continue on your day. I have not had anything to eat yet today, so I think I'm gonna go and warm up dinner that I made yesterday. I have some chicken and whatnot. So, but yeah, I will sign off with you guys tonight, and we'll be back to preparedness talk next Monday. And I got some good ideas of some things I want to talk about, and some. I'm not going to spill the beans, but the stuff that I want to start talking about, you don't hear too much on other preppers' lives. So I hope that it'll be a good addition to that. So, but yes, thank you for stopping in and giving of your time tonight. And I will see you guys in other people's chats. And next Monday, 8 o'clock, we'll be back to our normal topics. I appreciate it. And with that being said, stay safe, stay vigilant, stay prepped.